Ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to the True Love Secrets Reveals interview series. Today, we have Radha Patel joining us. Radha is a matchmaker and dating and relationship coach based in Dallas, Texas. And she's here to bring us a new perspective. We are going to be talking about astrology, how it has to do with matching with our men, and also with some of the challenges that you may have if you are on your 30s and you are dealing with the pressure of getting married, to create a family, to create legacy, and how to navigate the family pressure that sometimes comes along with that, and the cultural pressures, the societal pressure. Thank you so much, Radha, for being here.
Natalia, thank you so much for having me. This is a very exciting interview series to be a part of.
Thank you. I'm delighted to have you. So would you mind starting a little bit talking about how you got into being a matchmaker and a love coach, per se?
This is my favorite story. I always say that it took me however long to find what my purpose was in life, and it's matchmaking. But I'll pinpoint it to, I say the summer of 2018. I had a series of friends and family members who were single and would ask me, hey, Radha, do you know anybody who's single? Or I'm seriously looking to date again. And myself, I'm married, I have children, and I got married before dating apps. So it wasn't really a thing I had really heard about or was used to. So when my friends were saying that the apps weren't working, technology wasn't working, what could I really do? Well, I know I'm very well connected. I love meeting people. I know people in kind of any niche or genre, if you want, whether it be professional or personal. Yeah. And so I naturally decided to take my single friends and family, start matching them up and seeing what I could do. I thought it was easy, right? Not so easy. But that's what led me to wanting to start this official, matchmaking service called Single to Shadi.
Awesome. So what were some of those challenges you were having at the beginning?
I think the biggest challenge you have is we've got our single people. It seems so easy on paper. They line up.
Right.
Why aren't they getting together? Why is the match not happening? So that was a big shift for me, thinking, oh, just because two people are single doesn't mean it's going to work out. And that overcoming that mindset, which is now what I help my clients overcome as well. But that was the first step or the first challenge that I had to face before even getting started.
Wow, that is so interesting. And it reminds me a little bit on another sphere of me being born and raised in Argentina and having been living here in the States for over 20 years. Sometimes I meet people and they're like, oh, I have a friend from Argentina, you should be friends. And they expect that, it always reminds me of that story of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, how they, when Michelle, she was single, she was in college, and she starts college, her friends were telling her, you need to meet this guy, you need to meet this guy, you are going to love him, I think you are perfect for each other. And it was Barack Obama, but she jokes and she said that they were the only two Black people in that university, and that's why I thought they were going to get along. And it's not like that. So what else is there that has to be present in order for a couple to click?
I think knowing who you are before you become a couple is so important.
Right.
We change, every day is different. Our personalities, our lifestyle, we're different from day to day. So what makes us think that by just adding on a new element of another person in our lives, will that change stop happening? So until you know what that growth plan is for your life and you're accepting that, comfortable with it, or changed it to fit what your vision is, you're not going to be ready to add in that third person or another person to mix it up even more.
Right. So first,
mindset is really, I think, the key to so much in life, but especially dating and relationships.
Yes, that is so important. And also something that makes you very special and sets you apart from all the experts I have been interviewing this year, and they were a lot, is that you like to introduce astrology to the matchmaking process. Do you mind telling us a little bit why you started using astrology and why it's important and how to use astrology in our advantage?
Absolutely. So astrology is one of those things that ancient culture, every culture seems to have some version of astrology. And in Hinduism or Eastern cultures, it's still very prominent. They check the astrology before they decide when to have a certain ceremony, or it's a very much a driving factor in their lives. Fast forward to 2023, modern day America, there's the rise of CoStar, the astrology app. Gen Z is turning away from religion and going more into these spiritual or cosmic places. And so when I started matchmaking, I think like most of us, we start with just matchmaking, like, oh, we're going to hook up our friends and family. Then comes in the coaching piece because we're like, all right, we need to make sure their mindset is right. And then a natural extension of that for me was including astrology, because you and I talked about this offline a little bit. I might not necessarily be the biggest believer for my personal life, but I do know my sign. I'll read it from time to time. I'm like keeping tabs on it. So peripherally, I think culturally, we were always aware of astrology. Our business takes it a step further and introduces the concept of Vedic astrology. So a little bit more towards the Hindu religion, Eastern philosophies around it. And I was reluctant to come to the astrology game because I didn't feel like an arbitrary positioning of stars in the sky should determine who you were going to be with for the rest of your life. But it was very important to my clients. And so I introduced it in a, again, hybrid way where we've partnered with an astrology company that helps us provide charts and insights. We can coach around astrology, but it's up to my client if they want to use that in matchmaking moving forward. It's got to be a longer discussion. I don't want to just be like, hey, we ran your numbers, you can only match with these 3 types of signs, because again, that's very limiting and rigid, and we don't do that in matchmaking.
Okay.
But it's insightful to know maybe what personality traits make you tick or vibe with you. If you yourself can't articulate it or haven't done the work yet, maybe astrology can help plug some of those holes for you.
Wow, how interesting, how interesting. And with the people that are on board and that are like, yes, I want to try that, that's right up my alley. Have you seen a higher rate of success in compatibility and romance?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm going to say for the most part, no success in matching. I think really find more success in the coaching piece, because then it's a natural exercise for them to dive into what their personality traits. Well, we think you should be like this. Does this actually work for you? So it opens up such a good conversation. And
Right.
that's how I incorporate it more into my matchmaking versus just strictly Virgos with Virgos type of thing.
Right. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. That is genius, because it brings up, the way what is coming up for me, it brings up an element of fun, of play in a way, in a respectful way,
Yes.
because I know it's a science, that takes the edge out of doing the mindset work and the emotional work. And it's kind of like you're tricked with something playful, but you are doing the work.
Yes, it's a starting point, and it's a sneaky way of getting them to do the work because they're
Right.
already interested in it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I never saw it like that. That's great. And changing a little bit gears, I would like you to talk a little bit about what are the challenges that women, in their 30s, that are their biological clock maybe is kicking in, and they find themselves singles, and they have all these pressures in the world. So what have you seen that are some mindsets that work well to put them at ease, maybe, and to take inspired action, but from a place of being grounded and positive, believing in abundance?
Yeah. My advice, you're so right, Natalia, is that women these days, we are killing it in our careers. We're out there, we're hustling, we're doing so well, we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of our parents, our families. So by the time you're 32, 34, you can surface from all of that responsibility and success and be like, okay, now I got to take time for myself.
Right.
A lot of times we are running against a biological clock, which is unfortunate. I will just pause to say, not everybody has to follow a path that is marriage and children. I think we all need to give ourselves the grace to start from that point
Right.
before we dive into anything else. So if you choose that, yes, I do want a family and a path, then this is where that mindset work will start coming in. Okay, who we were and what we were looking for at 22 is now different at 42. So you have to then reconcile what I wanted in a man at 22 was maybe strong, sexy, somebody's going to take care of me and be a good father to my children. Now at 42, maybe I want somebody who is my equal, who
Right.
respects how hard I've journeyed in life to get to where I am, and now is willing to continue this journey of bringing children, family, relationships, whatever that looks like at this point in our lives. Because when you're middle age and you're, dealing with even different career pressures, you're dealing with other family pressures, your priority around what it means to raise children, maybe going from I wanted a big family to just having one so I can create legacy or deepen my bond with my partner. The intentions will change. And so until you're ready to have that conversation or recognize that you're in a different place now, you can't keep dating like a 20-year-old. It's not going to work at this point.
Right. Okay. That makes so much sense. So the first step would be to kind of reassess what we want, reassess the priorities and what we are willing to do and not do, what we really want, and then go from there. And what about dealing with family pressure? When I remember I was 40 already, and I go back to visit my family in Argentina, and my favorite aunt, which she was almost 80, late 70s. She was sick that day, poor thing. So she was in bed, which made it a lot more dramatic, all this, it made it look so dramatic. And so she's in bed and I'm sitting next to her. I adore her. And she looks at me. She's the sweetest woman. Oh my God. She looks at me and says, Natalia, when you are going to get married and have babies? When are you going to have babies? And I'm like, oh my God, Auntie, I think that's something that it's not in my path. I chose not to do it. And then she said something, who is going to take care of you when you are older? And I just, I felt so much love for her. And I was, from such a different era. And I said, well, hopefully, if I have somebody to take care of me, or I have enough money to pay her for private healthcare, but having a kid in order to want a nurse when I am old is not something that I particularly believe in. And she was like, she couldn't believe what I was saying, because she comes from such a different time where that was the reason they were having babies, or she was, at least. And so she successfully, she has all her kids around and she's very well taken care of. But so how do we deal with those things? If I had done the work by that time, I knew who I was, and I could lovingly express myself, and I wasn't taking it personal. But what about somebody that that the question comes out of nowhere? And so how do we navigate these waters of being true to ourselves and at the same time fulfilling a little bit our duty with our family?
Grace and compassion. Being from an immigrant background myself, we feel that pressure. Our families are in survival mode for a long time. And so for them, it's like, you just do the script, you follow the script, you don't deviate, you got to survive. So when we're out here now asserting our independence, forging our own paths, there's a natural back and forth that's going to happen. Our parents and family don't get it. And I don't expect them to. You mentioned she was of a different generation. Their motivations for marriage were survival and having children to take care of us and continue this legacy. So I try to look at it from their lens, have that compassion and grace that they're not doing this to be mean. She was not telling you, Natalia, get married and have babies because you don't have meaning if you don't. For
Right.
her, it was at a place of concern and love. I
Absolutely.
think that if we focus on what their intention was, mom and dad only have the best intentions for us. Maybe they don't express it the right way. Maybe we do need to take a break and skip a Thanksgiving or a Christmas break because they don't understand, right? Mom still thinks that marriage and kids is the only goal, and no matter how much you get her point, you've explained, you've talked it through, she's not coming around to it, her mindset hasn't changed, then it's okay. We can take needed breaks if we need a, you have to protect yourself because at the end of the day, you're only accountable to yourself. Mom and
Right.
dad weren't always going to be here. We love Auntie, but she's not always going to be here. She's living her own life as well. What she thinks is advice could be hurtful. It's up to us how we want to
Right.
react and
Can be
process
very
that.
hurtful. Can be very hurtful. Also considering that I don't want to be David Downer, but that there was a big assumption on what she was saying that I could physically have babies.
Yes.
Okay, because we never had that conversation. She didn't know. So when family or friends are pressuring women to have kids and all that, I believe it can be really hurtful because maybe that woman can't have babies.
And speaking, I am infertility myself. My children are adopted, and going
Okay,
through.
right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
There
that's
was a reason why I was inspired to say that, maybe.
yes, exactly. And I know because the hurt, the shame, right? And I was young and I knew I was like that we aren't going to have kids biologically. How do you talk about that? And
Yeah.
how do you deal with the aunties?
I didn't know we would
Yeah.
talk about this.
Oh, no. And I'm on this side of it. It's okay. I've done the work. We've done right. We have two amazing
And
children.
you
I
contribute.
can't even.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I can speak to it from experience and
Right.
personality, which makes my coaching and our interactions just so much more powerful. I'm not out here reading from a book and telling you what to do. I've lived this experience.
Right. Right. So yes, it's always good to it all comes down from what you are saying. It seems like all the roads come back to doing the work on ourselves. So we don't take things that personally and we can have more compassion and more love. And ultimately, I believe that that's what romantic relationships are meant to be, is to help us evolve into being our best selves. Because when we sign up for love, when we get married or in partnership, or we don't only sign up for the sexy parts, we also sign up for the yucky parts, when we are maybe fighting or we are hating the guy, or so it does require to be in a very good inner space, like you have been saying, the mindset and the.
And I want to also add in there, Natalia, it's not like, okay, I'm ready now. There's no starting point.
Oh,
You're
that's great you're saying
always
that. Yes.
right. You're all even in partnership. I've been married for 15 years, 14 years. We were different people at that age.
Yeah.
If I had waited for my complete man, my perfect man, I don't know if I still would have found him. But together, he and I can have that dialogue and be like, I need this, you're doing too much of that. And we're growing and evolving together to still be the right person for each other.
Right, right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So many women don't start to date, or they don't hire a matchmaker, or because they feel like they are not ready. And, maybe the feeling of being ready will never happen for some people. And it doesn't mean that the person that believes she is ready. It's just a mindset. It's whatever we are telling to ourselves, because as we all know, you marry somebody and you don't know all the things you're going to go through. If you,
No.
I always said, that I moved here to the States by myself. And I always think, if I knew all the things I was going to go through, I would have never left the comfort of my known. Just learning a new language. It
Oh,
was a humbling experience, a daily humbling experience, just the basic. So it's the same thing with relationships. If we expect that, we may never do it. So it takes courage and confidence to go after our dreams.
in my head, when you told me that, I literally was thinking, wow, you're so brave. So brave. So it takes courage to make that leap. And yeah, not everything's going to be planned out. We don't know what the course is going to look like, but we know we're confident we can take that next step and handle whatever's going to come after that. That's
Right.
beautiful, Natalia.
Thank you. Well, and the same thing with kids. When you got your kids, you thought
Yeah.
you were signing up for cuddling, and then you have the poo-poo, all the stuff.
Now I have teenagers.
Right.
Can we give them back?
Right. How is that going? They're good? Difficult?
We're learning together. We're all learning together.
Right. Yes, I cannot even imagine. So, well, thank you so much. I will ask you one last question that, of course, I have to ask you because I have to. So, in your experience with your matchmaking business and with your coaching business, what men are, and I know this is a generalization, okay, but what men want in a woman? What makes a man go on a date and say, this is it? Is that a reality or is just a movie thing? So can you walk us through that a little bit?
Absolutely.
And
I recently heard a relationship podcast where they were talking about how men essentially fall into three buckets. I apologize to the men out there who are listening, but it is an evolutionary thing. And it is what it is. But essentially, men make instantaneous decisions. This is why dating apps are not good for women. But it's either I want to sleep with her, I want her to be the mother of my children, or I'm not even considering any, right? Just like friendship, whatever, not even considering. And pretty much a guy either consciously or subconsciously makes one of those three decisions in a split second of meeting a woman, just because they're biologically hardwired that way. And getting them to change that perception is pretty much near impossible. Where we as women get stuck is trying to understand or interpret. Am I in a I only want to sleep with you category, or am I, hey, I think you could be the mother of my children category? So my advice would be is that men have already made up their mind. It's unfortunately all of the rest of the digging that we got to figure out to see which decision they made. And then once you figured it out, we just got to respect it. You're not going to change I want to sleep with you into I want to marry you, and vice versa.
Right. Wow. That is really, really, really useful. And you just said something so casually. Because dating apps don't work for women. You just say it like that. And I'm like, what? I need to know more about that. Do you mind sharing where that comes from?
Absolutely. The reason I say dating apps don't work for women is we are thinkers. We're analyzers. We look at a male profile on a dating app on an average for 30 to 40 seconds. Now I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a lot. If you're thinking on the flip side, males typically are looking at it for less than 3 seconds.
Oh my
So
God.
right there, they're flipping through things way faster than we are. Number one, that's a disparity. Number two, we might look at the pictures, but we are going to read so much meaning into every single letter of every single word in their bio.
Right.
So we're creating this fantasy in our mind that we're going to naturally be open to more matches. We're naturally going to be exposed to elements that maybe we don't work in our lives. So we're just more vulnerable sex of the species, if you will. And the dating apps, they prey on that. I feel like it's just not setting women up for success. Even if it's a women first app, I still don't think it is. Now, am I saying don't use the apps? No, obviously not, because we've got to be a part of the game. But your attitudes, your mindsets, your the way you interact with that, you
Right.
have to protect yourself and know that the reflection of your interactions in the app is not the actual self-worth.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. That's very, very valuable. So many women overanalyzed, the profiles, and oh my God, it can be very, very painful. I remember I went on 200 first dates in 2 years using eHub.
Wow.
Yes. It wasn't even an app. It was on the computer. So, and I remember that I would look at their profile and read everything and look at their pictures, and they were probably just going tuck, 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 tuck. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful journey.
I have a tip for women on the apps. My tip is have your top 4 to 5, not more and not less. And they should be things not like, oh, I need somebody who's ready to be in a relationship. I need somebody who's going to treat me. Take yourself and the relationship out of it. What are 5 qualities that you could find by looking at a profile, right? It could be attraction, education, attitudes around family, things that you can quickly pick up about him specifically. And that's all you need. Don't overanalyze. At the end of the day, you can still say no to a date, but it's better to get your mindset where you're not like overanalyzing. Pick your top 5 and swipe yes on just those and see how your matches evolve. If the people that you're getting mutual matched with, if that changes when you take that overanalyzing out of it.
Oh, listen to us, viewers. That was gold. Thank you. It's so, it brings so much more peace and joy to the process. Yes, because that will also reflect the kind of attitude we have when we go on dates, and that has a lot to do with, how they're gonna see us. Oh my God, it's a forever ending. We could talk about that forever, but
If I have a client that's in that jaded category who's like fed up with dating, everything sucks, you know that is just a different level of emotional work. And as a coach, we just know that is a completely different. It's going to take a lot more to get out of that rut. So if you guys can be proactive in your interactions up front and protecting yourselves so you don't end up in that jaded bucket, it's just going to serve you in the long run.
Right. I love that. Preventing. It's a lot easier to prevent than to fix. Thank you so much, Radha. I know you have a gift for our viewers. Would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So speaking of online dating, we also offer online dating profile consultations. Our tip, yes, because we know it's a numbers game, and the number of people on the dating apps, the exposure you're going to get, the quickness, it's there. So we should incorporate that in part of your dating strategy. So my gift today is for all the listeners. We are giving away mini profile reviews, so 15-minute sessions with our date coaches. They'll go through a platform of your choice, give you some audit tips and tricks to make your profile a little bit better. And then hopefully that will help you set up a better profile and meet some better people.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. That's very, very generous. Thank you so much. Is anything else you want to say before we finish the interview?
I'll just leave my last piece of advice is just be open, ladies. The world works in mysterious ways. If you're spiritual, if you're religious, you never know what avenue life is going to send your person your way. So say yes to experiences, be open to new things, and you'll see what happens.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Natalia, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure chatting with you.